everyone. Welcome to my show, Career Startup Podcast, a podcast to spotlight Asian leaders and interesting allies that I meet in my life. Today, if you're looking to feel inspired on how to face adversities with a smile on your face, I have a very amazing and humble guy, Amit Jain, who's the co-founder of Mitti Ke Rang, joining me from India. Hi, Amit. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you so much.
Pleasure having you on the show, Amit. And to our listeners out here, Mitti Ke Rang is a social venture that's focused on helping widows and single women create their own livelihood. And Amit is a superhero, is how I see himself. And I'm so honored to bring him onto the show and get an exclusive chat with him to not only understand what drives him towards social entrepreneurship, but also to explore a little bit more about who Amit is as a person. So Amit, welcome again to the show.
Great. Thank you so much. And it's like, I think I should say a good morning as for the US time. And it's a great initiative to connect the Asia and the North America part, because this connections in the global world, looking at the current scenario, it's pretty important to, match and talk and interact and learn from the best practice from each other.
That's amazing. So Amit is someone who doesn't align with any check boxes that you would think about. If you need to be a leader, you need to have certain degrees or need to have certain experience. That's definitely not the conventional person that Amit is. He's the most unconventional guy that I've seen as part of my guests. And Amit is also a digital nomad. He's a solo traveler and has covered around 80 cities in India, which is, I should say, less than $300 in his pocket. And he's traversed across the country in just 5 months. And as I was talking to Amit, what inspired me is the power of people and the stories that he's got as part of his memory and journey. So I'm very excited to understand more about Amit and see how we can get some interesting wisdom from him.
Absolutely.
So Amit,
right.
Let's talk about your childhood. You've had a very different kind of childhood, I should say, because you've seen a lot of adversity at a very young age. So how does it feel, having grown in a single motherhood family with the help of extended family who supported you in all your endeavors to where you are today? How has that experience shaped you as a person?
Right. If I talk about now with the compared to the life I have lived when I was in my hometown, when I did 12th graduation, I always used to think, what am I going to be doing in the future? Like what I going to be doing after a certain age. But the answer comes from my past, wherein after losing my father when I was 3, so my grandfather opened a shop for my mother, a tailoring shop. And so my cousins, uncle, aunt were a great support. Because of them, we were able to live. They provided food, accommodation, everything. And then I went to a convent school. The complete journey was pretty good, bad. It was mixed, because that gave me a direction to learn new things, to see how life could be. But very frankly, I don't know, it all depends upon person to person. My upbringing, my context was, I love to talk to people from that time itself, just talk to people, learn from them, and just go for chit chat. Yes, but due to which I was very bad at studies. I used to get a lot of beating from my cousins because of their studies. And that's how the journey began. But family was pretty supportive in that way. And somehow, when you complete with your 10th in India, you have to only have an option to do engineering, because that option will give you a good pay job. So I did my 12th. I couldn't score. I scored good, but we couldn't go to engineering college. I just moved to a different stream. Again, there was a challenge, what and how I will be, facing that. But slowly, things went by, and those memories, those learning are the ones which really tried me to do what I'm doing right now.
That's amazing, Amit. And as I mentioned, Amit started his engineering dream a little bit, but then shifted to commerce, and then he started his journey from a town to Pune, which is one of the metropolitan cities in India, back in 2012, to get a job at the Bank of New York. So tell us about that transition, and how was that a very pivotal moment in your career, Amit?
Right. After we do BCom in India, or in anywhere particularly, people don't look to that degree very good. That degree will give you the job. But I just gave my MBA examination. I didn't score good. Then I came to Pune. So when I came to Pune, I got around like $15 and 1,000 Indian currency. And with that, I survived for a month. I wasn't aware what is Pune all about, how to, where to apply for a job and all. But somehow one connection came when I came to Pune. So I went to a company, they were offering me a good, like a decent package. I was very happy. But with the intention, like I talked to people. So someone told me, Amit, go to this company and just try it, they can hire you. So that was a very difficult process to get a job in Bank of New York, because when I went to a consultancy, they told me you are a fresher, you won't be able to get a job. I again came back. He's like, he just called me. He's like, let's try. So then I went to the company. The interview went the day, the complete day. There were 15 people with me. They were all experienced and all higher degrees. So they were like, Amit, you shouldn't have come after your graduation, because if you don't get selected, they will not again call you before 3 months. So I got nervous, but I was there. And in the end, till the final round, I was the only one who was there. All the 14 got rejected. I was like, okay. So when I went for the interview in the night, the manager called me. And at that time, I didn't have a formal shoes. So I just wore the sports shoes. So he asked me the first question, that why aren't you formal? I'm like, I didn't had money. So I just took it from my roommate where I am staying. Then the interview began. He did for 30 minutes. And you know, whatever you do in your life, you never know when it will be of use to you. So in my BCom graduation, I used to listen to BBC podcast that helped me to understand the accent of English people. So in that interview, because the position was of a very high level, there was an SME from Brazil. She had came in for the interview. So I was able to talk to her very perfectly for 30 minutes and with the global knowledge of finance. So that took the urge, and then I got into Bank of New York, and then the life changed completely.
That's fabulous. And that goes to say that, how you see yourself as a lifelong learner by pushing yourself to the limits and not using circumstances as a barrier towards success. Uh, that's just the humility that you continue to carry till today. So kudos on that, Amit. So,
Thank you so much.
so at Bank of New York, as you mentioned, you were at a higher level position, and you were surrounded by a lot of people who came from different walks of lives, but you were such a confident person that you learned a lot from them rather than just feeling they're of a different plane or a different level. What would you say to yourself, as when you're starting your new career, as a fresh grad? What did you say to yourself to keep yourself going in those days at Bank of New York?
Truth to be told, it was very tough mentally, because you have experienced people in you. You're already at a process which is the third critical in the entire company, and you have to be very vigilant, and you have to have, you won't believe the word Excel and all those software I learned in Bank of New York. I haven't used those in my home. And the people who were working with me, already 5 6 years experience, they were pro in that. And to compete is a wrong word, but again, in a corporate, to work with them, because they were if we all were sitting at a table, we all were getting the same training. For them, it took 10 minutes. It took me 10 days to understand. So that was the gap, we both had. So it was a pretty big challenge to, be with them. And even what happens when, because they had struggled a lot, they have experience of 5 years, and a fresher coming with them and working. So again, there was a hierarchy. So to break that mental stability, to be mentally stable, to work, to everything. And Pune was pretty new for me. I wasn't knowing anything. So it took a lot of time, but luckily the people I worked with were little pretty good. Some of them were not, but they trained me as a good person. So it was a very hard journey to be in for 2 years, and even I couldn't grasp what they're teaching. But somehow I tried to learn as much as I can. And then in 2014, my mom came to Pune, and then we thought of doing something different. So that is the another story. But coming to Bank of New York, it was pretty awesome, pretty difficult, adventurous. I used to cry sometimes. I used to get the book at my home, understand the whole night, because what if they kick me out of the company? I'll be again on ground zero. So that pressure coming as a fresher, not sure what's gonna take place. It was a very tough challenge.
But that's the best part of you, Amit. I think different parts of your life journey show how you have the tenacity to face any kind of challenges and, still have a smile on your face as you ace those. So I'm going to talk more about what happened when your mom came to Pune in 2014 and how did Mitti Ke Rang happen?
Right. So till my graduation, all my clothes for my birthdays and food were given by cousins. So we had a thought people have a lot of things to donate, and one section doesn't have a lot of things to accept because they want stuff they don't have. So there's an ad on, like example in India we have OLX Quicker where you can upload the things. So I just posted ki, okay, we are we are starting this. If you want to donate, we will come to pick it up. So, but before that, what happened when my mom came to Pune, we had a thought, okay, let's do something for society because of the people, whatever we are today, it's only because there were people who supported us. If they weren't there, we don't know where we would be at that now. So that the thought process was, but again, it was pretty difficult to start that because in Pune, again, going to new places to collect the old clothes, keep on your bike, keep at your stuff, and then donate to NGOs. So that transition was again such a big challenge. And again, what I learned from that, we always think in life, people who are rich, people who have a higher degrees, people who are of higher strata is only of use to us. But that's not the truth. Mitti Ke Rang first volunteer was an auto driver. So I was coming from after meeting my sister to Pune, I met an auto driver. I just gave him a t-shirt. After a few days, he called me, "Sir, your initiative is pretty good. If you need any help, let me know." I'm like, "Yeah, I need your auto to collect the stuff from people home." He's like, "Okay, I'll do that. 20% I'll distribute to my family members because they have been supporting. 80% I'll donate to the NGO you will tell me about." Half of my tension went away. And the people who donated, we tag them on social media. So from an auto driver, Amit Jain, we moved to 100 volunteers in 1 year.
That's pretty amazing. That talks about when you have a good initiative and it comes from a good heart, uh, you know, the nature will find a way to bring in people who will help you succeed, right? And, that's the best way in which it'll have a multiplying effect when there's a good initiative that's in the making. So congratulations on that. Now that talks about building your network. And I know you're a big believer about, connecting with people and building that network when you actually don't need them, right? That's the philosophy. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I read somewhere that quote, which I forgot, but unconsciously because of my upbringing, my mental context, I kept doing that. So that quote, which now I completely remember because I was doing that, make connections when you don't need the most. So what happens when you do that? For example, now I'm talking to you. So we are building a relation. We don't want anything from each other, but this is a long term without expectations. So
Right.
I kept doing that when I came to Pune or even when I was in my hometown. So that network which kept on building. When I left the job, when I took back Mitti Ke Rang full time, I had already 5K plus people who I know personally, who personally knows me. I can reach out to them for any help. So that's the power of network. And we were able to raise in 3 months 23 lakh rupees for Corona because only the network we have built over the period of years.
That's pretty good. So to our listeners, tell us in a very brief context what Mitti Ke Rang means and what you actually do.
Cool. Before 5 years, before 2019, we used to work as an NGO because, as an NGO because that was in the mind. But co-founder Mr. Saket, he's a great support to whatever we have done. So he told ki, the word NGO, when we talk about this word charity or poor, things comes into picture. Oh my God, they are poor, they are poor. So we don't want to sell charity. The women we work with, they are capable, they are skilled, they are already empowered. We just need to give them a direction. So that what we started focusing on, moving from an NGO to a social venture. What we do, so we have widow women, single women across India, in Pune, across other cities. They make paper bag, cloth bag, and tea light candles for Diwali, and we sell that. So last year in Diwali, we sold 52,000 candle in 40 days. And this year, we are planning to sell 1 million candle in 3 months.
That's amazing. And the power of the network that you've built, I'm quite sure it's been very helpful as you think about it. How does it feel at the end of the day when you do such social entrepreneurship, right? And the blessings that you get from a lot of people that you work with, especially women, because you focus more on women empowerment, and we need a lot of men like you who believe that women deserve the respect that they need to create their own livelihood. So how does it feel at the end of the day for you?
Right. In the very beginning, when we started this for a couple of years, the feeling was very great. We are doing something. But to be very honest, then we become mechanical. Okay, because no matter what you do, you will become mechanical at a one certain of time. So now we are a mechanical, but now we are focused on doing this at a very large scale. So we can help more and more women. We have that gray area, that heart, we have to support them. But sometimes when you have to grow from 1 to 100, you need to approach the practical model in your venture. So that's what we are trying to do to help more and more as we can now.
That's
And when you talk about how you think in the evening, so now, like, every day is a very big challenge, because if we achieve something, the co-founder, he's like, okay, we did this, we have to do something else. So we never get to sit and think, okay, what we did. It's like back to back. So that keeps more going and going.
Yeah, I can understand how it is, because every day it's like you need to achieve, more, because there are a lot of people who are dependent on you, right? Because you created the standards for yourself, and it's always, a racing game to be ahead of expectations. Now, tell me about your love for solo traveling. It's very adventurous that you love meeting people, and the fact that as we had in our conversation, you spoke about, how you love talking with people in their own culture, language, eating the local food. How is all of that experience, and how has that helped you be a better person?
So when I was working with the Bank of New York, we used to get 15 days of leave, like, in one go. So I used to take in the Christmas time. I used to just travel one day, one city. So that's how I did for a couple of years. Last year I went to Sri Lanka, and in Sri Lanka, like, if I would say, I spent around, you could say, $150 only for a week, coming, going, everything from India to Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka was the most adventurous experience. I was bitten by a dog, admitted to a hospital for a day. My couch surfer wasn't there the whole night. Like, I can't forget what happened with me in Sri Lanka. So to just give a brief to the audience about the Sri Lankan experience, so how the small things takes place. I was supposed to go to point A, like Betullah. I went to Beulah. Then the dog came bitten on the leg. I took a bus midnight, went to a place, took a hotel, then went to a hospital in Sri Lanka for the rabies. The private doesn't treat you. You have to only go to the government. In government, there were a line of 500 people. Then already you haven't eaten because I'm a Jain. You don't get food over there. You're already frustrated with the sun, water, bananas. People are standing in the lines paining. So I just played my Indian passport card to the doctors. I'm from India, do this. The whole day experiment went on. They gave me 5 injections. Then I came back to India. So that was Sri Lanka. But if I talk about Indian experience, which I started last year, so from November till June, before I got stuck, backpacking across India. And the backpacking looks very good from outside, but you have to be very, very, very mental stable, because every day you have to change your home. Every day you have to go from one location to another location. When you're on a budget trip, you take the local train, local bus, wherein you can't sleep in the night. You have to be constant on the phone to search for your host. You reach the home, you have to talk to the people because you're going to the home. You have to talk to the language. Example, I went to a Muslim house in Visakhapatnam. For 5 days I was there. In those 5 days, I ate like a Muslim. So that culture change. I went to Karnataka in India, different states. Your food gets changed, language gets changed. You have to adapt to this. And also purposely, I drank water from everywhere. I didn't purchase single water bottle in my 6 months journey. A water bottle I took from here, I went to the tap, I just drank it. So my tummy is so strong now, I can survive in any climate. But if you're okay to cry every night, then you can do it.
That's such a fabulous story. Going through a lot of challenges that are outside of your comfort zone, because a lot of, human beings are comfort creatures, right? We always want to have a set lifestyle, set routine. There needs to be air conditioning, cars and your own transport mechanisms. But you're someone who loves to just be adventurous. And in spite of all these different things that you end up running with, right? But you still take them as, positive signs. And, the way you express them, Amit, makes me feel like you feel happy about all these experiences rather than regretting, like, this happened or that happened.
Yeah, and one quote again which I keep following with myself, that what happened, we want everything permanent in a temporary life. So I am against that quote. So I use that quote a lot, actually.
That's a great philosophy, something that it's hard to come by for millennials like us. So that that talks about the emotional maturity that you have at such a young age. So congrats on that. Now, you have the social venture platform through Mitti Ke Rang, and it's crowdfunded, as we shared about our experiences, building that platform to help women. What are some of the challenges that you see for crowdfunding, especially in India, in the social entrepreneurship space?
Right. Very frankly, what happened, before we started this fundraising, we haven't did that because the completely MKR material is a bootstrap, wherein my co-founder and we have invested. The fundraiser which we did recently, it was completely for the daily wage workers and those people. We haven't did the fundraiser before 3 months. But when we thought of doing this fundraiser, so we had a target of raising 1 million Indian rupees. But we thought if we are able to raise 0.1 million as well, that's a good amount because we haven't did before. We just launched the campaign and 9 days, in 9 days, we completed 1 million target,
That's amazing.
which was eye-opening to everybody. Even I couldn't digest the fact how on earth we could do that. Then from 1 million, we moved to 2 million and again 2 million done, then 3 million. So we are at 2.4 around. So to answer your question, in India, after that, we became like a case study for everybody. Ki yaar, how can they raise so much in less span of time? And we don't have a background of fundraising, but the network which we build. And also what happened, again, we always try to miss, which I learned, things which are very small. For example, when we raised 3 lakh rupees, 0.3 million Indian rupees, the what do you say, the amount stopped. It didn't came after that. So I just thought, what can be done next? We just came with a 100 rupees, $1 initiative. Okay, I have 5,000 connections. I just request to donate $1. In 2 hours, we raised 2 lakh rupees, 0.2 million. So then those message got viral so much. So the power of small we did, and then we were able to do crowdfunding. But many people came, how we can do that crowdfunding? Before that, you have to build your goodwill, your network, and then nothing is impossible for you.
It goes to talk about the power of small ask, right? A dollar doesn't hurt people too much. And it's always nice when, somebody makes a request, and when, it's for a social cause and it's not too much from your pocket, it's something that they can afford to help you. But above all, it's the relationship that you build with them, Amit, because at the end of the day, people believe in Amit, and so does Amit's cause, and they're willing to support you in your endeavor. So that speaks a lot about the relationships that you've nurtured for a very long time. So tell me about, in this coronavirus lockdown, especially in India, you're helping a lot of families survive. And one of your initiative has been, fundraising for 2,000 daily wage workers, because in India, daily wage workers survive on a daily basis, depending on what kind of jobs they have to meet their ends. And you've been transferring, 1,000 Indian rupees to their bank accounts. So tell us about that initiative.
Right. And just to add about the last question about the community, it's not that easy to build a community because people just comes in and they're like, Amit, okay, I'll just make 2,000 connections on LinkedIn and people will support me. It doesn't happen that way. You have to be on your mobile WhatsApp 24 hours a day to reply on WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Reddit, Twitter, Slack, Discord, every damn platform. That's how the community builds in. And, so I just keep my hand in a chilling mode because it gets so warm by typing that I have to, keep this hand like that. So that's how the community builds in. But if I talk about the daily wage workers, India lockdown particularly, when the lockdown started, I was in Guwahati, like 2,500 kilometers from my hometown. I haven't been to that place for a long time. Luckily, I have friends over there, but we thought the people who don't have home, what about them? So we did this fundraising, and so there's always two sides of a coin. One, definitely many families have been affected, many businesses have been shut down. But if you look at the positive side, the families are reunited. People started thinking about hygiene. People started thinking about medical insurance. People have came closer than before. And most importantly, people have realized the power of online, which wasn't there in Indian culture till now. So every adversity brings something positive, and I think this will be the game-changing moment for Indians if I talk about particularly.
That's pretty cool. So tell us about small business owners, because I want to make sure, Mitti Ke Rang is not just like a one-time effort. You want to consistently help people in the long run. So what kind of ideas that you have to ensure you help small business owners post the lockdown as well?
Right. Now what we are doing is, so mittikerang.org, we started this website now. Last year we were on Shopify. We have a store wherein this year we're planning to sell 1 million candles. And so we don't go with the numbers, okay, we will empower or we will support 1,000 women. Very frankly, this doesn't happen. If you want to really help with the financial improvement, there will be a very small number. The media won't cover it, the people won't appreciate that, but we want, if we are doing something, we have to do it with full heart and not go with the number for the media. So we don't go with that. So we have a very small group, we focus on that, they make the products, we sell that. But now what we are planning is, from different region of India, we are onboarding different women entrepreneurs who sell different products, and we'll be selling it online on our social media, on our Shopify Mitti Ke Rang website. And after doing that, we are planning to also add services. Example, many women entrepreneurs are good in designing, content writing, video editing. So this would be a one-to-one platform for all the women entrepreneurs coming down the years.
That's pretty amazing. And I want to congratulate again, because there's a lot of underrepresentation of women when we talk about equity and treating women fairly. Uh, how does it feel? Like, how do you define a woman, based on your experience, having grown in a single family household? How do you see women in your perspective?
So there are a couple of perspectives. One which I observed when I was at home, my cousins or my mother. Then we worked in Mitti Ke Rang. When I do a backpacking across India, no matter you're a poor, you're a middle class, or you're upper class, there's one common statement that they want to do something. They just need a direction. And very frankly, it doesn't only work with women. It work with every damn human being. Okay, they want to do something. They just need a handing hold. So that is what I believed. And so that's why when I was doing a backpacking across India, we did a couple of women entrepreneurs meetup in Arunachal, in Assam, in Bangalore, Vizag, wherein we got all the women at one place. We made a WhatsApp group. For example, in Visakhapatnam, in 3 days promotion, we were able to get 40 plus women entrepreneurs. So now we have a strong WhatsApp group. They talk, they interact, they learn, they do commercial e-commerce with them. So now we are again starting with the virtual online women entrepreneurs meetup. So to answer your question, to the question you asked, there's nothing one statement, but what I realize is that everyone have to do something. We just need to give them a direction.
That's very interesting. And I'm so glad there are men like you who are interested in empowering women, because everybody wants to, be the breadwinner of the family and do whatever they can rather than just feeling helpless, when dire situations come through. So I think your upbringing has got a lot to do with it. And, the sense of respect that your mom has inculcated in you on how to treat other women, with dignity. I think that comes across really well in your experiences that you've shared. So thank you for that, wonderful thoughts on that. Now, what advice would you have for people who are interested in social entrepreneurship? Because I'm quite sure, Amit, when people hear your stories, they feel very inspired. How do they think they can make a difference in the social entrepreneurship space?
Right. I talk with my own experience because what happened, even that mistake I used to do, or when I talk to anyone, even I talk to my mom, my cousins. So it is our upbringing. When we talk to people, we always use this lines. Okay, this many people are saying this. People want to do this. People. But when I talk to my mom, my cousins, my friends, I ask them, name 5 people you think they would be affected by this. They don't have the names. It's like a AWS. It's in the cloud. Okay, we have people who would worry about us, what we would be doing. So how I'm relating the answer to your question is, like what happened, no matter what you want to do, you want to do a startup, a social venture, your own something or the other. So I'll divide the age or the timeline. You are 18 when you start thinking about a career. If I talk about India, we don't have internships below 18. We don't have apprentice below 21, or people don't get that opportunities. So they don't have, or we don't have practical experience. What if I would have been again at the 21, I would have been done the same thing which what I'm about to say. No matter what we want to do, we want to do a startup, a business, a job, or job, whatever. Take a job so that your financial would be taken care of. That company will give you damn amazing experience of handling people, of managing stuff. And with that, start whatever you want to start, be it a freelancer, be it a passion, be it a social worker, whatever. And if you are continuing that for 5 years, which means your passion will really turn out into a career and not into a time pass. What happened, people, we think, even I used to think, I have to leave the job to take this full time. It's not the answer. I was able to continue Mitti for 6 years. Then came a time, confidence, I can leave the job. And when I left the job, I told my mom, my brother, that my company is kicking me out because they will never agree to the fact I came with $10, $20. I'm living a high package job. That's the story.
That's very true. So how did you have to, balance those emotions in your family when, you decided to pursue your entrepreneurial path? Was it very welcoming?
So, uh, living your life in two sides. I'll tell you why. So in Bank of New York from 2012 till 2019, until I resigned, the last day, the notice period started. No one, I repeat, no one were aware that I run Mitti Ke Rang. Everyone was blocked on social media because I believed they should be a personal separate, professional separate. So I was working 10 hours a day in Bank of New York, 8 hours, 10 hours a day with Mitti Ke Rang. So I was able to work 20 hours a day for damn 7 years. That's how the confidence came. No matter you keep me again on a ground zero, it will take me 1 year to again climb the ladder.
That talks about the amount of confidence that you have in yourself. And I think that's the best investment that you can make. What do you say to yourself, Amit? Because you have a lot of goals in your mind and, you always keep thinking about what's next. So what do you say to yourself to get more inspiration on what's next?
The co-founder Saket, I am quoting him again because he comes from 13 years startup experience. And I'm lucky, MCAT is lucky to have him on board. So, you could say he's a machine who thinks and we are the people who implements. So a lot of ideas comes from him because I'm a person who can talk to people. He's a person who can think. So I believe there should be two co-founders who can think and who can be the face. That's how everything can run so amazingly well. So he tells, okay, try this. And the best thing about both of us, the word confidence. So we both believe we just keep trying. Like we are very open to failure. Okay, failure happens, we'll see what to do. And luckily, everything is turning into a gold mine. So that experience of doing something new, something new. And to answer your question, when I came back from Guwahati to Pune, my sleeping pattern, like day and night, got changed. I was very frustrated. So I'm like, again, I have to keep a goal, something which I will wake up early in the morning. So I'm like, okay, coming 2 years, I have to go to Mount Everest base camp and have to do Antarctic expedition. So that's my next goal, which keep me going to be fit, and Mitti Ke Rang keeps me going to be working towards women entrepreneurs.
That's pretty amazing. I'm glad you have, self-reflection on what you want to do as a person, because I think that's very important to fuel yourself, uh, especially from the self-care perspective. And at the same time, that gives you the inspiration to help others succeed as part of your life journey. So, a lot of people might not know this, but Amit has 100 interns working for Mitti Ke Rang. So congratulations on managing a team of 100, which is quite a humongous job, because people look up to you for a lot of advice and wisdom. So tell us a little bit about that. And I also want to specifically talk about your idea to bring a lot of global interns to India to work for Mitti Ke Rang, and how the lockdown has really put everybody on a different perspective on that. So talk to us a little bit about it.
This word wherein we put people first. So whenever someone talks to you, need to work on an idea which really problem people are facing. So when we did the fundraising, we came across post ki students are not getting internship. So with the pure intention of helping them before the college start, we started that. We weren't sure what work we would be giving it to them and what would be the selection criteria. Like ground zero. 15 people came in, we gave them the work, and we thought we'll be closing it. But so many people started coming in that in 3 months we had onboarded 120 plus. Uh, 20 interns got the internship over. So in this 3 months, we had made team leaders, we did SOPs, we created 9 to 10 different departments wherein we have a podcast team. We are doing a 200 speaker series from 200 countries. We have like every week we publish 52 blogs or for 50 plus blogs in Mittikerang. All those things happens. 2 months, like it was damn crazy to talk to everybody one-to-one meeting to understand the problem. Everyone has their own challenges, and you have to do all other stuff. Eventually, Bank of New York taught me a lot what not need to be done when you're a manager.
And
I
what is
just
that?
implemented.
What is that?
Yeah, I'll definitely say you what happened in a corporate. Why I was able to survive for 7 years with one promotion, and everyone loved me in Bank of New York later. Why? Because I never aimed for promotion. I was there because I used to go at 1 p.m. I used to work. I used to drink a lot of coffees. I used to come at home, work 10 hours a day, the whole night, go back to office, pretty chill. So when you don't have a promotional mindset, you are just chill. You are good with everybody. So my juniors, I used to trust them so much. Okay, you're doing this thing, just do it. I have 100% confidence in you. But the people who need promotion, they don't make your juniors independent. They make dependent. So in my life, I have taken a vow, I have to make people independent. And now in MKR, all the interns are so independent that we have given the complete freedom to do mistake. Like I am there, I handle everything. So with that confidence, people will not commit a mistake if taken otherwise.
That's very true, Amit, because when you have interns or, fresh grads who are experimenting, it's always nice to have a boss or a leader, I should say, who has their back, who would be accountable for them if things don't work out their way. And 99 out of 100 times, the interns can do the best, because I've been an intern myself in the US, and it's always your managers, your initial leaders who help you discover your potential and make you feel like, you can be an excellent person and can learn a lot of things and achieve a lot. From my own personal experiences, when I started as an intern at IBM here in the US, I was very new to the country, trying to figure out, the accent, the kind of expectations that people have about you. But fast forward to 10 years, I'm a podcast host talking with other people, and it's always nice to see how that journey and that confidence can leap you into, greater aspects of your life. So thanks for sharing that part of it. Now, going back to the other aspect of internship, global interns, what do you think we can do to bring more global interns to Mittikerang?
Right. A couple of years back, what happened? We have a lot of websites through which the foreigners comes to India. They go to different places and work. But now, COVID, no one can travel. So we are trying to create a platform, all in search of a platform wherein all the countries students want to intern with India, and how we can club, example for remote working, remote studies, any platform we can give the internship to, because they would be pretty inclined towards that. So we're trying to figure out a way, and if you know someone or the listeners know someone who are providing that platform, we'll be more than happy to collaborate.
Absolutely. We definitely can touch base on those, because I have some people in mind that I want you to connect with. Now, tell us about, your what next. I know you spoke about going to Mount Everest, your Arctic expedition. What do you want to achieve as a person, Amit, in terms of a legacy that you want to leave behind?
Very good question. Because 4 years back, someone told me that Amit, you have to make Mittikerang a sustainable model so that if you're not there, someone can run it. But now I'm against that. I'll tell you why. What happened when so with that mindset, three years back, I just left Mittikerang to volunteers or to the people working. Okay, it is yours, now you handle it. So that is the biggest mistake I did, with the intention of making it sustainable at such an early age. You should think about making it sustainable after 50 years. Okay. So the legacy, the sustainability, all those words which I practice, it should come very late, because you have to be the person who is leading the team. And you can't just tell them, okay, ye kar lo, and everything would be good. So if I talk about a legacy, I think very frankly, it's very, no one might agree with that. But my mentality or my mindset has trained in such a way that I can't think more than after one day. What I have to do next? So I'm so much in the presence because of the backpacking, solo backpacking, and because of living two lives with Bank of New York and Mittikerang. then at home with friends. And in that journey, I kept friends away from all the work I'm doing, family from all the work I'm doing, because you need to give a space. For a friend, you need a friend. For a family, you have to be a family member. So coming to cut the long story short, my persona has become such that I'm just at the moment all the time. So I just think what next have to do now.
That's a very interesting thought process that you have, Amit. Like being in the moment, because you don't know what tomorrow offers. And most of us think we're going to be living on this planet like forever, right? And I think this COVID has really shook our, uh, has really shaken our beliefs about, there's only the present moment today, and you need to be the best and do whatever you can do in the best. So thank you for sharing that. And I also agree with you on building a sustainable business model, because a lot of us think about you build a business and then you have somebody else running the business, but you have that vision and there needs to be a growth curve for that business to actually be mature enough so anybody else could continue running that business as part of the pivotal moments. So those are good life lessons that you've learned at a very young age.
Yeah, it's pretty good because what happened, I was talking to someone before this call. They all are because now 5 years back I was a very at an early stage. So I used to talk to a lot of people ki what I should be doing it. So they used to tell me make it sustainable, make this, print t-shirts, print caps, get volunteers, everything. But over the periods, I have learned volunteering because when it comes to social, all the NGOs, all the organizations try to get volunteers and volunteers are not accountable. You can't shout at them. And then because what happened, many corporates sends their volunteers to teach kids. The volunteers goes with the time duration, with their own time span. The kids are waiting. We have increased expectations. So we stopped everything. We are like, okay, if you want to volunteer, we have a certain guidelines. If you are adhere to that, you're more than welcome in the team. So we have paid teachers who go to teach to students and they are held accountable. So this all things I learned in life. You don't have to sustainable, and also you don't need to be a like a typical social worker. Come on, I do all the things which a normal human being does. But what stops a youth to go into social work with the feeling that they have to be rich, they have to be old, they have to wear a kurta, they have to be in a certain way. But so Mitti and we're trying to change the everything. That okay, we run this as a company, make it a social venture. You don't need to sell sadness, you have to sell happiness. People are there to support you. So that's how the journey is.
That's very true, because the way you talked about not being a stereotyped social worker, dressing in a certain way, acting in a certain way, you could be well educated, you could have, world travel experience, and you could still have a human side to you. And at the same time, pursue your dreams to help women entrepreneurs succeed. And the best part about you and, Saket, who's your other co-founder, is you're focused on helping women succeed. And as men doing it at the helm of leadership, that makes me feel so proud that there are, people like you who are focused on women, especially because that's something that it's very hard to come by, as treating each other as equal partners in whichever journey we are. And so kudos to you and Saket on that again.
Thank you.
So we have a fun rapid fire round for you, Amit. Are you ready for it?
Sure.
So you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the following: role model.
Okay, my co-founder Saket Deshmukh.
What does success mean to you?
That you're happy all the time.
And based on our conversation, Amit, you come across as somebody who's very blissful in that state of mind, in a very calm, meditative state of mind, who knows what he's doing. So, yeah, it's very inspiring for me to, take some wisdom from our conversation today. Favorite hobby? What does Amit do in his downtime?
It changes every time. So I watch web series, I play games, I started playing Call of Duty. So I do everything new.
Do you have a favorite web series that you would like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, so it's a US web series, Designated Survivor. It's based on the US. So, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Politics.
So one final question to you. What is your native language, and one word to describe yourself in your native language?
It's Hindi. And in Hindi, I would say, which people know, Namaste, because with Namaste, you become more humble and you have the mindset of learning more and more.
Thank you. So that brings us to the end of our show, Amit. It's been such a pleasure for us to get to know Amit as a person. And the top three takeaways that I would say in our conversation is one, building your connections when you don't need it, so you can have the multiplying effect, whenever you need them the most. And two, it's about creating more happiness in spite of all the adversity that you faced from your childhood, and finding like-minded people who'll help you succeed as part of overcoming adversity, be it your extended family at a young age to Saket with Mitti Ke Rang, your colleagues at Bank of New York. So I think it talks a lot about how you have the confidence that you can achieve once you set your eyes on it. And three, and the most important that I really admire about you, is Mitti Ke Rang, social uh, venture, social entrepreneurship. you know it's a new field that's emerging in India, and you focused on a very niche and the most important people in our society, which is women. How do you help women be independent, and how do you help them be dignified and live life with respect, especially single and widowed women through women entrepreneurship. So those are the three takeaways that I really love. Once I had this conversation with you, do you have any parting thoughts to our listeners?
Right. One thing which I think, because we everybody work, no matter you're working, you're running your own startup, we always think about meditation and all those things. So even I used to think whether I should do it or not, but later I realized that my work is my meditation. So I can work 24 hours a day and I can be happy 24 hours a day. So if that is the case, no matter what you do, if you're so you'll be happy all the time.
That's amazing. And, a lot of interesting wisdom from Amit Jain, who's the co-founder of Mitti Ke Rang, also a digital nomad and a solo traveler who always looks at what's next and is in a meditative state of mind, as I mentioned before, because he loves what he does. And, I wish you great success, and I want to continue to see you succeed in all your ventures. So thank you so much, Amit, for joining us on today's show, Career Startup with Podcast. Until another interesting episode with another interesting guest, this is your host, Priyanka Komla, signing off.